Okay, so now we're at part 2, and this one we're going to go over the symptoms of Asperger's. We want everybody to understand what they are, and I'm also going to have a little demonstration of what chemical imbalance is. So, one of the things that I really enjoyed about reading the Cracked.com article about Asperger's patients, and I have absolutely no problem laughing at myself because it was really funny, and I make mistakes all the time, and I don't know, I just have a good sense of humor. One of the things it said is that Asperger's is very easily self-diagnosed, and it's because I really do think that there are a heck of a lot more Aspies out there than have any idea. And one of the reasons for this is because, you know, an Aspie that has good parents able to correct their behaviors in a nice way, and they don't have to get all freaked out. So let's go over some Asperger's symptoms, and there are a lot. They can't read social cues. They dislike routine changes. They appear to lack empathy. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times people have told me that I was cold when I wasn't, especially when I loved them. As far as the routine changes, one of the things I've always said is that I love routine. I have an odd intonation pattern. Like when I was a kid, I used to talk a lot like this, and people called me weird all the time. And so, of course, I had to learn how to drop that. Otherwise, you know, I would have continued to sound weird throughout my life. They can't understand tone changes, and they can't understand sarcasm, and they take things too literally. As far as the tone changes go, though, what's really interesting is that once it's pointed out to you, if you're a kid, that you talk funny, then you can immediately focus in on everything about language, and then you can become really good at it, which is something that people ended up telling me all the time when I was a kid. As far as not understanding sarcasm, taking things too literally, I did have a problem with taking things literally, but at the same time, I was a master of sarcasm because we had a lot of sarcasm in the house, and we watched The Simpsons. They speak like an adult with a higher vocabulary. This is definitely true, because if you can't read facial expressions, then you cling to language. So they listen to Grandma and Grandpa, and they start talking like Grandma and Grandpa, that sort of thing. They avoid eye contact, or they stare, because they don't know how they're supposed to behave. They have odd facial expressions and posture. If you know somebody that has really bad posture, even as an adult, they're probably an Aspie. They're preoccupied with only a few interests, and some of them are narrowed. When I read the narrowed interest part, I knew exactly what I was talking about. I was talking about this type of necklace that I've been making for years and years and years. It's basically the same thing over and over again, with different loops. Sometimes loops are big, sometimes they're little, and they're all in different colors, but it's the same necklace that I make every time. Not that I didn't have other interests, you know, obviously one was psychology, but I played with my beads more than I played with psychology. They talk a lot, usually about their favorite subjects. I want you to think about all those nerds that you know that go on and on and on about subjects that you can't stand, and you don't want them to talk to you about it, and half the time you don't even want the person to talk to you. This person's probably an Asperger's patient. They can't tell that you're insanely irritated by what they're talking about, and they can't even tell that you're irritated by them. And you end up feeling really bad for them because they can't tell, and you just sit there and deal with it. They also have one-sided conversations, always bringing it back to themselves. I want you to think about all those people you've ever known that talk and talk and talk and won't let you get a word in edgewise. I do have a problem with this, especially lately, now that I'm not mentally ill. I've brought back a lot of childhood problems. It's almost like my Aspie, like, reawoke. Let's see, where are we? Verbalized internal thoughts. I have to go pee, I have to take shit, all those kind of things you're not supposed to say. Delayed motor development, you know, they can't ride a bike really well right away, have real trouble with that. I took forever to learn how to ride a bike, I took forever to potty train, I took forever to learn how to tie my shoe, all kinds of things like that. They can have an odd walk. I was constantly made fun of for how I walked. Clumsy, definitely was I clumsy. And I was so clumsy that I developed really fast reflexes because I would constantly drop things and then I would have to really quickly grab it so that way it wouldn't break. The handwriting is often poor, but on the other hand, some Aspies really enjoy writing. So you have Aspies that have really fantastic handwriting as well. It just depends on whether or not that was one of their interests. And for me, I really loved cursive, so my cursive looks really well, and then my shorthand looks a little sloppy. There's heightened sensitivity. Woo! Overstimulated by noise. What heightened sensitivity, that can be lots of different things. For example, you can have heightened taste, you know, and you can have heightened pain reception. So if you get like the slightest little nick, you can hear an Aspie crying about that. Boom, boom. But yes, definitely overstimulated by noise. If I hear a loud noise, I jump. Significant trouble in social situations. Of course, if you can't read people's social cues, then you're going to have huge trouble when you're at a party. And when I was a kid, I was always by the food table drinking soda. And as an adult, I was always by the food table drinking a lot of booze. They mimic people around them when they don't understand. That's because they don't understand anybody around them. They have to start acting like everybody else. And so even if they don't get it, they just do it anyways, so they don't feel weird all the time. Then we get to the teens. They're shy. They want friends, but they don't know how to get them. I always overcame that by just going up to the lonely kid. The lonely kid's always willing to make a friend, and when two lonely kids are friends, they stay like that. They find it emotionally draining to fit in, most definitely. If you can't get the people around you, then your thinking process goes into overdrive, and it definitely drains you. They're immature for their age, and naive, and too trusting, which leads to teasing and bullying. And that's definitely true. Yeah, it's definitely true for me. It's true for me still. I still act like I'm a kid, and I don't think that's a problem. Some make and keep a few friends through school, and this is true for me too. Like, go up to a lonely kid, and the lonely kids stay friends forever. Some teens don't follow social norms or trends. That's absolutely true for me. Once I developed a hatred for everybody, I didn't give a crap about what they were doing. I didn't want to see them. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to dress the way they dressed. I didn't want to follow conventional thinking. I barely ever did. People are always telling me how irritating my political views are and how irritating my religious views are, and so on and so forth. It allows for creative thinking. People always tell me I'm a creative person. The pursuit of original goals. Anytime a door closed for me, I always developed a new goal. They can have a preference for rules and honesty. And if you're, I was scared straight. I was always mistrusting of everyone around me, and I was convinced if I, like, say, committed a felony, there would always be somebody eager to turn me in, and I was always convinced there was somebody in my family. And as far as honesty goes, you have to have honesty because you can't read facial expressions, so you have to rely on what you say. And I've always said, too, that going into the adult, they always improve and can constantly improve. And one of the reasons for this is because the Asperger's patient wants to be normal. They've always wanted to be normal. They've always felt left out. So they listen to feedback. Some of us do. And when you listen to feedback, then you're able to change yourself because you get the perspective of other people. And I constantly tell people that I need feedback. I need the feedback of other people. Don't just walk away and act like I'm the bitch. You have to tell me what I did wrong, otherwise I can't change. They can learn social cues by this time. Now, I have learned social cues. As soon as I learned that I was an Asperger's patient and I took a facial recognition test, I was able to instantly see what I did wrong. And now I'm such an expert at it that I can tell from a mile away whether or not somebody's lying to me. I can detect the slightest micro-expression. I can tell by people's posture. I can tell by their voice. It doesn't matter. I can tell when, you know, somebody's thinking poorly of me or when somebody's thinking well of me now, and I can tell what degree of mental illness a person's suffering from solely by looking at them too. It's sort of my Sherlock Holmes ability, if you will, and I'm really good at it. I do it so well now, I can even see it in animals, and I've been able to reverse animals' calls and have basic conversations with animals too. And I can't wait to bring that into my comedy, but people have trouble believing that I can do that, so nobody's paying attention to my ass. They develop attention to detail and focused interest, can lead to college, career, and success. Your focused interest can lead to college and success, but it depends on which ones you've attached to. So if you've attached to the wrong interests, they're not going to be beneficial to you for college at all, and then you can also be very easily discouraged from going to college and trying. So you get a lot of Asperger's patients that run from menial job to menial job, like me. They can develop fascination with technology. I think that's a yes all across the board. And really, who isn't interested in technology? Really? Gotta be a lot of us, right? Common career choice is engineering. And then they also have some coexisting conditions. And I'd like to explain some of these for you because I don't think that they're coexisting conditions. I think that they're, again, symptoms of Asperger's. And some of them I'm not even quite sure are real. ADHD, the more I look into that one, the more it just sounds like a person. ADHD sounds like an Asperger's patient that has too much sugar. Seriously. You get kids with ADHD where they have Pop-Tarts and cereal, Frosted Flakes with extra sugar on it for breakfast. This is going to make a kid act like a spaz, especially an Asperger's kid. Because when you have a lot of memories, your brain just flips through, flip, all the time. Flip. You can be reminded of this and this and this and this and this. You can pop in and out of all of your emotions very quickly, which, by the way, is healthy. So I don't even consider ADHD a real thing, and there are a lot of people that don't think it's a real thing. Anxiety disorder, that is definitely caused by Asperger's itself. Really. That's when the world around you doesn't make sense, so you're freaked out all the time. And there's really only two ways to get that. If you can't read social cues, or you've been under such terrible control that you become afraid of the world around you. So you can see that in, minorities that are terribly repressed, but you'll see it in an Asperger's patient naturally. And depression comes along because you don't understand anything. You don't get what's going on. You don't get why you are the way you are. You don't get why everybody hates you. So, of course, you become depressed. Nonverbal learning disorder. When you have a social cue deficiency, you would be diagnosed with nonverbal learning disorder. It's not coexisting. It is part of Asperger's. OCD. OCD is caused by stress. A lot of Aspies have a picking habit. I've always had a picking habit. Ever since I was a kid. If you look closely at my face, there's just bajillions of eensy little pockmarks. Don't zoom in. I'm wearing makeup anyway. Social anxiety, of course. of course, you're going to get social anxiety when you can't understand the people around you. It's silly. Alright, now the next thing I want to cover is chemical imbalance. What people don't understand about mental illness is it is a chemical imbalance. So we have a little demonstration here for you. All of these colors represent different emotions, and all of your emotions are triggered by chemicals. So we've got pink is love, we've got yellow is joy, happiness, contentment, whatever you want to call it. We've got blue, which is sadness, loneliness. They're the same. Loneliness and sadness are the same. Purple is arrogance or courage. Arrogance and courage are triggered by the same type of chemical. They're basically the same emotion. You've got orange. Orange is going to be fear or stress. They are the same. And then you've got focus and curiosity. We chose green for that because I'm pretty darn sure that focus and curiosity are both triggered by chlorophyll. And then you've got anger here. Anger, psychopathy, whatever you want to call it, that's triggered by meat, specifically. All of the emotions, for the most part, all of these ones here, those are all pretty much triggered by fruit. And the reason why we perceive these emotions with these types of colors is because those are the exact colors of the foods that bring these chemicals on. This is why we give emotions certain colors like this. Now, when your brain is chemically balanced, you have a little bit of this one, a little bit of this one, a little bit of this one. Yeah, let's see the other side. So you got a little bit of that one. You get a little bit of that one. 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 That's what you have to do every day to keep your brain healthy. One thing about you have to remember about your brain is that it kind of works like a computer. You've got your, you can kind of show me for a minute here. You've got your short-term memory, that's your RAM. You've got your long-term memory, that's like your hard disk space. You've got the functions for your body, that's sort of like the hardware. And then you've got your emotions, which are sort of like your software. So when you're using the program Sadness, you're developing memories that are specific to sadness to help you think and problem solve for the next time you're in sadness. And when you are in courageous mode, you are getting memories that are specifically for courageous mode, and they'll help you be more courageous or arrogant in the future. And then you've got the same thing for fear and stress. You've got a bunch of memories that come across from fear and stress to help you the next time you're in fear and stress, and so on and so forth. You've got focus. Focus and curiosity are the same. When you're curious, you're looking to the world around you in order to give you answers, and when you're focusing, you're actually going through your brain, looking through all of the other emotions to problem solve, using this memory from this emotion, this memory from this emotion in order to create your answer. Now, what happens when you're mentally ill is you're not getting a little bit of each one every day. One main cause of mental illness is due to lack of proper nutrition. So if you're not getting the chemicals that you need in order to get all these emotions, then your body shuts those emotions down. It doesn't turn them off completely. It's sort of like your brain being a flower and it's starting to wilt. And this happens in your body too. If you're being malnourished, then certain systems shut down right away. And it shuts down the symptoms that it needs the least. So if you're a kid with Asperger's that is having a really terrible time with bullying and you have a family that's disjointed and doesn't show love to one another, then you become chemically imbalanced. If you're going to be chemically imbalanced, you're going to want it with, like, love and joy. You're not going to want it with, in the case of my mother, let's say, way too much anger, way too much stress, and way too much sadness. Right now, this is what's happening to my mom's brain. She's got all this anger, she's got all this fear and stress, and she's got all of this sadness. Now, she also has a good deal of courage and arrogance, too, because the Asperger's patient is constantly told that they're right. That is a dangerous mix. When you have too much courage and bravery for your mental condition, and you won't seek help, then you have a chemically imbalanced brain. What my mom needs right now is some more joy. She needs focus and curiosity. Oddly, she does need a little more courage, but in a different way. And she needs a lot of love right now. She needs love from as many people as will possibly give it. Now, this brain is supposed to look nice and gray. Nice and gray. All of the chemicals are supposed to mingle together and make it a nice gray. You're not supposed to have too much anger. You're not supposed to have too much blue. None of that. It's supposed to be gray. So, now we're going to get into things that'll make my mom feel better. Mom needs to know that the people around her really love her, and I'm going to start myself. One song that I have on my MP3 that I keep all the time just to remind me of my mom and how much I love her is called, it's by Innocence Mission. It's called Bright as Yellow. My mom's favorite color is yellow, and yellow is signifies joy. This is a bright color. It makes people happy. Every time I listen to that song, it shows me why a person could like the color yellow. It's just, again, a color that I always had troubles enjoying. Another thing is, when I became mentally well, I was able to remember extra memories of my mother that I had forgotten. As a self-defense mechanism, while my mom, was hurting me and I was feeling so hurt by my mother, my brain shut down happy memories of her. And some of them came back. And two of them were from when I was a baby. One of them, I was in a crib, and I can see my mother looking down upon me. She has curly hair, and it's almost like a reddy brown, and she's smiling at me, and I'm very happy to see her, and there's a mobile in my crib. And so that was a happy memory that I had of my mother when I was a baby, which shows me that she really loved me back then, and I could tell. That's where our bond really started. And then another one is when I was a baby too, and this is before I could speak. So I know that I was younger than 2 years old. And she had made me some eggs, and she had a cigarette, and some of the ash fell in the cigarette. And I started to cry. And she picked me up, and she shushed me, and she said that she was sorry. So she made me some new eggs, and she made me feel better, and then she ate the eggs that had ash on them. And this is a really good memory that I'm glad that I have again. I also need my mom to know that the only reason why I'm doing this is because I really, really think that she deserves to finally understand that the people around her aren't her enemies, especially her family. She needs to reach out to her family and friends and explain that she understands why she acted the way that she did. I really think that she should have a heart-to-heart talk with her sister, who's a very, very sweet woman. And I think that her sister really wants to be her best friend, if she would allow it. I think that her sister's able to overcome the jealousy, because her sister has improved greatly over her life. And I want everyone that wants to get in contact with my mother to tell her it's okay to be this way. It's okay to have a problem, just so long as you're willing to get over it. I love you.